Hi, my name is Tara Kachatoroff, and I'm the host of Michigan Entrepreneur, where we feature businesses from startup to stellar. Today, I have as my special guest Taylor Miller-Goulait, who's the founder of Monarch Coaching. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
I'm really excited to talk to you today because actually you're probably one of the very few coaching companies I've actually spoken with in almost 19 years.
Wow, okay.
So yeah, I'm really excited to talk to you today. And before we jump into exactly what you do at Monarch Coaching, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself, and then we'll unpack it from there.
Sure. My background is really in instructional design, which is kind of a fancy word for saying I make learning curriculums and do a lot of adult learning is my background. So I did that specifically with a Fortune 500 company for 5 years, and it was primarily in leadership development, which is really where I got my passion for that. But in a previous life, I was actually a retail manager in clothing retail for 12 years. So I got a lot of leadership experience there. And I just wanted to translate that into something where it was a little bit more, I loved the onboarding, I loved the training aspect of my leadership role. So it was really amazing when I got the opportunity to kind of combine leadership and training together to do leadership development. And that's kind of where it blossomed into what I'm doing now, honestly.
So how did the idea just come to you one night that I wanted to start a company? How did this all really come about? Because I mean, there's a transition point to take it to that next level, to make it real.
Yeah.
What was that for you? What was that decision like for you?
I think for a lot of people, especially post-pandemic, during the pandemic, there was a lot of, for me personally, there was just a lot of, what do I want to do with my life? You know, you're sitting at home and you're just like, I love what I'm doing. I'm doing all of these wonderful things. I'm seeing the impact that it's having, not just on individuals, but on complete, total organizations. And I just was like, I really feel like this could be something that we can bring to other companies. So a little bit of more background about myself and my business partner, Erica. So her and I were both together at this company, and we both worked on the leadership development team. And after, post-pandemic, when people were starting to get back out into the world, we did a lot of networking because we just were like, let's go meet new people and see what else is out there and get some other perspectives on what's happening in the world. And we were networking, and a lot of organizations, a lot of individuals were like, what do you do? And we say, we do leadership development. We teach a lot about how to hold people accountable. We do a lot of emotional intelligence training. And they're like, wow, that's amazing. We don't have that at my company. And so we realized that this was kind of a luxury that this organization had that other companies and others, especially small businesses, didn't have. And so we were like, we kind of looked at each other like, we can help these companies with this. Why not do that? So that's kind of how it all started. We loved what we were doing. We saw it be very successful on a grand scale. And we really wanted to make it more accessible and scalable for these small to mid-sized businesses who really just didn't have the accessibility to this leadership development without it being, we're gonna send one person to this workshop for a day or two, have them come back and then teach the rest of the team. Right. Which that secondhand information is there's always some gaps that are there. So we kind of wanted to just do this holistic thing, and I'm sure we'll talk about that in a little bit too, but we wanted it to be a little bit more holistic, but definitely more accessible and scalable for everybody.
Going back to, you both worked at the same company, and then you both, decided to do this together. How did that even come about? Because, doing a business is one thing, and then doing a business with a partner is a whole nother thing.
Yes.
So that's a even bigger jump. And what is it about both of you that really went together well? What was it?
Yeah.
What was the dynamic? And what are you really good at, and what is she really good at?
She's good at everything. So she evens me out quite a bit. We talk about this all the time. But we started together. She was a leader within the company, and actually I was helping train and coach her, which was kind of fun. And I got to know her through that, and she was an incredible leader. Her team was just so responsive. They were so empathetic and so trusting, and they were so effective because of her leadership. And one day she had asked me, she's like, I really want to do what you do. I love what you're doing. I love the coaching. I love the training, all of the content. she's like, I would love to join your team. So me and, at the time my VP, we talked about it and we were able to bring her on board, and her work ethic is unbelievable. And so she learned instructional design and was helping make the content. She got her coaching certification. She's a life coach now. There's just a lot of, she's a very empathetic, very passionate, very feeling, I don't know, she's just when you meet her, which I hope that you do one day, she is just a light. I mean, she just brightens every room that she goes into. And not that I don't, but I am very structured, and she is very like, let's try this, let's do new things. And so she evens me out because I am very kind of type A, where I'm like, perfectionist, it's got to be this way, we have to do it that way. She's like, but why? She challenges me a lot with that. But it's a beautiful thing because we've come up with so many amazing trainings and workshops, and the content that we have is very well-rounded, I think, because of that. It's not so structured that it's like you're in a corporate training, but it's also not so free-flowing that you're like, what am I learning right now? What are we even talking about? So she evens me out quite a bit. And then we worked so well together, and she ended up, after I left the company to start Monarch, she was leading the team in my place because I was leading the team too, and then she kind of jumped ship and joined with me as well.
Wow.
So
I love hearing startup stories. It's so interesting, and it's interesting to see like you both are bringing something quite different to the partnership and creating something even better out of a better outcome.
Yeah, absolutely.
So my next question kind of goes back to what you had said prior, is that you're making this leadership development kinds of things and leadership coaching accessible to these smaller companies. That is like a super good niche. It's a super great niche, because it's like you either pay like so much money, like through the roof, for certain types of things to be set up, and it's just like so complicated, and it's months of lead time, versus these smaller companies now getting that access and you doing it in a little bit different way.
Yeah.
So what has that been like? From the organizations that you've worked with thus far, what kind of feedback have you been getting, because you can bring that kind of stuff that was only for the big guys down to the day-to-day level of the smaller businesses which run the country, really?
Literally, I know. Yeah, I think a lot of the feedback that we get and a lot of the results that we see is more like, we didn't think that we could work this well together. And it's so funny because people are kind of the root of every issue is like it's a human person issue. It's people are very complicated, and our lives are very complex, and life throws challenges to everybody's way, not just your way. So we teach a lot about perspective and emotional intelligence and how to be curious and ask good questions as opposed to assuming things. And I think that approach, which it comes with practice, you don't perfect it right away, but that approach helps people be like, okay, I need to stop for a second, and instead of being mad because this person didn't do the thing I told them to do or didn't do it correctly, I need to be more curious and take ownership. Maybe I didn't explain it the right way. So when you and it's like, these are things that I think people know, but then you tell them and they're like, oh yeah, no, I'm really not doing that. I should be doing better. So just that perspective of like, yeah, you know what? Instead of assuming something or yelling, I asked a question, and I actually understand more so where they're coming from. And because of that, now I've got more trust. And there's, with all of that comes higher retention rates and more higher employee engagement, which is at an all-time low right now, which we can talk about that too. But just we've never been so connected, and the communication is much better. And there's always still things they need to work on, but I think that approach is very helpful for a lot of people.
So what kind of services specifically do you offer for organizations? And I'm sure you can do bespoke, custom types of things, but what are the ones that out of the bag, if somebody comes to your site or they're talking to you in a networking event, what are your main core service offerings? Yeah,
so we have our Monarch Leadership Program, and this is an online-based program, and it really is it was designed and built to help create more effective company cultures from the top down, so through leadership development. We don't necessarily focus on executive level or C-suite. We actually focus a lot more on that entry level, mid-level, because they don't have, a lot of times they are the experts in what they're doing, and then they get promoted because they're really good at what they're doing. So they have no leadership training or coaching or anything like that, and it's just like, for example, oh, you were really good at, let's say, underwriting. Like, you were really good at underwriting. Now you're going to lead a team of underwriters. And you're like, I have no idea. I know how to underwrite. I don't know how to lead people. So our focus is really to help them find their leadership style and connect and build very trusting and inclusive and innovative teams. But the online program is up to a 6-month program. It's very customizable based on what the needs of the organization are. You can do a 2-month program, you could do a 4-month, or you could do 6-month. And we do online courses that we've developed all on our own and through our instructional design background, which is the fun part, and then it's also very tedious. But so we've developed all these amazing online courses, and after each individual course, there's 11 total, you get a one-on-one coaching session. And then if you're going through as a group, a leadership group, you actually get group coaching sessions. So you can kind of come together after so many courses. Let's talk through like some real things that are happening on your team. How have you applied this concept with your team? How did there's also like team building facilitation guides that we supplement in there as well and have them do with their teams. And then so we can ask, how did the trust building exercise go with you guys? And if one team maybe did it differently than the other team did, it's just a great space for communication. So we do a lot of individual focus at first because you can't lead others and you can't lead yourself. So that's a big focus for us. And then it goes into, here's like this group conversation that we're having, and then holding them accountable throughout it with the coaching, the individual coaching sessions as well.
Now, do you also do like on-site programs as well?
Yeah, we can do on-site. We do it by request only, and we do tailor it to the needs of what they're looking for. So if our one-stop shop Monarch leadership program, if you're looking at the outcomes and everything isn't really an exact fit for what you're looking for, we can do on-site as well.
Do you use or incorporate assessments of any sort in the work you do? Are they ones you create, or are they some that are the ones that we find out in the wild?
In the wild. We do have our own, and they are tailored depending on what the company is looking for. So most of the time, though, they do include engagement surveys. So we'll do an engagement survey before we even start our programs with them to get a gauge on how the employees are feeling. Not just about their leadership, but about the organization as well.
So are these like 360s, or are these?
It'll be everybody in the company will take it. So everybody that's the leader who's leading the team, and then their employees will all take it.
Oh, okay.
And so that way we're getting a gauge on the employees' perspective, but we're also seeing it from the leader's perspective too. Maybe they also need a little bit more guidance, and then we can help, around that, maybe create a little bit more tailored coaching sessions with them as well. But did that answer your question?
Yeah, because I was just wondering, like, how if it was a 360, or are people giving individual feedback on individuals, or is it more of the organization?
So you're asking, are the leaders giving feedback on the employees and vice versa? Not necessarily. It's more so with the employees and kind of giving feedback on their experience, their happiness.
Okay.
And then we track that. So if you're doing the 6-month program, for example, if we track it before we even start, then we do it at the halfway point, and then at the 6-month point, and then we'll do it in 6 months after to really see how the longevity has been and how the impact has been lasting for them.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. So you've been in business for 2 years, is it?
It'll be like 2.5, 3 years.
3 years. So explain to me what your journey has been like as an entrepreneur, from like when you started. I don't know, did you just sit around a kitchen table and start it up? But, to now, like, what are some of the milestones on that journey for you as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I think it's so funny because we always say like Monarch coaching is all about transformational leadership. We have transformed so much since we started this. It went from, initially we just wanted to try to do coaching. We wanted to help coach people, coach leaders, and then it bloomed into, well, we're instructional designers. We should be designing programs for people. So then we started with in-person workshops only. And a lot of the feedback we were getting from those was, we want this to be a little bit more sustainable. How can we do this maybe online? So then we were like, okay, we got this feedback. That's great feedback, especially because so many companies are remote or hybrid. So if their people can't be in person, it made more sense. And for us as a business to be able to scale like that, but also for organizations to be able to sustain that training. So we went from just coaching to only in-person workshops to now we're doing this online program. We've got a niche focus for, so aside from organizations, which is a huge part of what Monarch does, we also have, as a company, a very strong focus on female leadership as well on an individual level. So we also are focusing a lot on helping aspiring leaders or current leaders, or women who are kind of returning into work after being stay-at-home moms, or women who are like, I don't know what the heck I want to do with my life. I'm sick of this career. I want to change it. They're in this like transitional period, and we actually do like a cohort type workshop, which we just started our most recent one yesterday, and it was amazing. But it's a 5-week cohort, so we actually are going through with them to help them build their personal brand a little bit better, help them find where their confidence lies.
All online? Is this
it's all virtual, but this one it could be held in person too. It's pretty transferable with that.
So are these people that are in the current group, are they all from Michigan?
Right now, yes. The groups that we've had in the past, though, there was a girl from Washington. We've had someone from Texas. We had people all over.
Because you have the online capability,
Exactly.
so you're really not tied to location.
Yeah, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, I mean, and so now you've got that going on. Any other milestones that you've experienced in this? You've had a lot of change in a short time. Are there any other milestones beyond that?
I think with us, a lot of it was let's just try to build our brand up right now. And we did that well enough to where now we've partnered with Velocity, which you've talked to Paula McPherson. And our partnership with Velocity has been really significant for us, and it's been a big game changer for us.
So why don't you tell me, so Velocity is an incubator accelerator located in Macomb County, Michigan. Tell me about your experience with, I guess it's the accelerator part.
Yeah.
So why don't you explain a little bit difference between the incubator and the accelerator, and then why you're in the accelerator?
Yeah, so the incubator is more for like ideation stage. So if you have a great idea, or you are kind of starting a business but you haven't really had any clients or revenue or anything like that, the incubator is a great program for you to kind of launch and get more ideas and start to really solidify what it is that your business is. The accelerator program, on the other hand, we're in the Small Business Hub accelerator, or we were. That is more for, you have a business, you're up and running, you've had clients, you're getting revenue, but you need to get to the next level, and you need to kind of scale and grow. And that's where Erica and I were in through Velocity, which is amazing. And the program advisors we had were Regroup advisors. They were fantastic. And the guidance for that was really like, you guys know what you're doing. It was a lot of validation, I will say that, which is always good. It's like, you're doing the right thing. Let's just look at it from a different perspective, because we are so in the weeds with what we're doing. And so it's really nice to kind of have that bird's eye view of, okay, maybe we need to focus more on this, stop trying to be so holistic and niche down a little bit with our business focus. But it was an amazing program to be in, and I would encourage, if anyone is in the Macomb area, to check them out for sure.
How did you even find out about Velocity Accelerator at the time?
And
are you from Macomb, or is she from Macomb, or are you both from Macomb?
I am in Oakland County, so I'm kind of in this area, and at the time she was in Detroit, now she's in Grosse Pointe. But it's kind of funny, like I actually was listening to a podcast, like a local podcast about VCs, so venture capitalists, and I was just curious about it. But Paula was on it, and I'm like, she's really cool. I want to get coffee with this lady. So I actually found her on LinkedIn, and all about connecting. And I just messaged her and said, I'd love to chat with you. I want to get to know a little bit more about what you do at Velocity. And so we had a video call, and from that point on, it was just like game over. We're like, okay, we need to work together.
Oh, wow.
She loved what we were doing. We loved what she was doing. So it was like, we got to make this partnership work.
And so in the accelerator, it's programmatic, like you go do through certain things within the time period that you were with them?
Yeah.
Is that how it works?
Yeah, so it is very organic, I will say that, which is nice. It's not, it is structured in the fact that like you're meeting with people for your advisors for 2 hours. You really do start with It's kind of funny because the first question that they asked you is, what do you want to do to exit your business? And me and Erica were like, this is the first thing that you're asking us? But it is such
the best question.
It is the best question because,
Yeah.
as a small business owner, especially, that's not what you're thinking of. You are like, how do I get bigger? How do I grow? How do I get more clients? And they're like, how do you leave your business and sell it? I'm like, I have no idea. So it was a really cool approach that they took such a holistic approach of looking at everything, and then they really just they ask you, what are your biggest concerns, what are your biggest challenges, and I'll be vulnerable. One of ours was credibility, because we are young, we're women, she's a minority, and in the leadership field you see a lot of older men, and that's really what the industry is. So for us, a lot of the roadblocks we were experiencing were the credibility piece. So they helped us really overcome that and build a lot more confidence around that. That is actually a unique selling point for us, not a roadblock for us. Because we're in the weeds, we see what it is to be a young female leader, a minority leader, and we're really like very, very much into the inclusive leadership and finding a space for everybody where we like to say, put your aces in their places. So when you find someone who's really good at one thing, nurturing that. But if they want to try something else, you can let them try something else too. But
Yeah, I actually think ages, in the case of both of you are young, is that you're growing up in the world that is a pretty different world than, like, let's say I grew up in, but that is the advantage.
Yes.
Because you can go into organizations that are being led by people who are more senior, and they need that. They need it, but they also need it from the standpoint of somebody who's a coach and who understands leadership development and all those sorts of things. And that, to me, is something that you're not going to find necessarily in young folks, but it's in both of you with your company. That is like super unique.
Yes, thank you.
Super, super unique. Because you have a view of the world that they don't have, and they can't see it through your eyes.
Right.
You can tell them, but you grew up with technology in a different way, right?
Absolutely.
So it's a very different play, and I think it's great.
Thank
I think
you.
it's neat. I mean, so speaking about that, how are you getting the word out about your company and what you do? How are you spreading the word? I mean, we're doing it here through this interview, which is fantastic, but what other ways are you getting the word out about both of you? and
Both
Monarch?
of us. So we actually also have a podcast and a YouTube show. So it's called The Lead Her Lounge.
Oh, that's right.
So we do,
forgot that.
no,
That's
it's
right, I
great.
forgot.
We're actually on a
Yeah.
little summer hiatus right now. We're going to be hopefully using Velocity's podcasting booth for it, which will be exciting. And so that is a really great way for us to kind of share our knowledge and our expertise and the perspectives that we have as young women leaders, but who also speak the corporate language and speak the employees' language too. Like we're really great at bridging those gaps. But we also are incredibly active on LinkedIn, and we love to do in-person events, and that's really where we're at. Like we're better. We always say we're better in person. So it's like once you meet us, you're like, okay, yeah, we should do business together. But yeah, so we always try to be as in person and in different events as we can be, because you see people on LinkedIn, you see people on Instagram and TikTok, and then you see them in real life, and sometimes it's just like, you're very different. So we want to be consistent with that, but we are better in person. So that's kind of how I say that.
Oh man, that's classic. That is really good. That's really good. So what's a success that you're really proud of both of you, that working together? What's something that you would think that Erica would also say that you're
Proud of?
Yeah.
I do. There is a lot. I will say.
Okay, give me two.
Yeah,
Two quick
I
ones.
think her and I we complement each other very well. And because of the background that we have from leadership development and being in a corporate setting and training leaders, we're very open with feedback. And so if she's feeling some type of way about something, she does not hesitate to say, listen, okay, we have to have a quick conversation and then talk it through. And I'm the same way of like, listen, if we maybe don't agree, because that happens with partnerships, I don't think we should do that. I don't think it's a good idea. And she's like, well, we need to try. And so we're very good at negotiating and being open and honest with our communication. I think that's something I'm very proud of for the both of us. We're very lucky to be in that situation.
Yeah, because if you can't communicate with your business partner, hey, you
I
know.
know, game over. Game
That's
over.
right. Then that's when you're not as good as in person, right?
Yes, exactly, exactly.
And what about like a piece of feedback or something that you could share about a client experience that you've been really proud of? Is there something that you'd like to share?
As far as the client experience, feedback, I don't know.
No, you can't share
but
too much
yeah,
because of confidentiality.
right, but
bigger
I
picture.
think there's, because we are young and we're women, and we were working with a group of men at one point, and it was so amazing because they were just, I wouldn't say that they were not responsive to our approach to leadership because they hired us. So they needed us in some capacity, but it was interesting to see the dynamic shift from, we are, we're work coworkers, and we're just, we have direct reports. And then as we started to kind of dig into the emotional aspect of leadership, and your employees are humans too, we saw a lot of shift in their mindset. And it was really, not that they were resistant to the training at first, but it was hard to get them to start talking and open up. And by the end of it, we couldn't get them to stop. So that was like, we're winning,
yeah.
right? Because they're like,
Transformation.
what do you do? Yeah, they're like, what do you do with this? Or I did this and it turned out so well. Thank you so much. So it was amazing.
That's great.
Yeah, so that
That's
was really good, like
fantastic.
in the moment feedback of like, wow, you guys won't stop talking. This is great.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I got about 1 minute on
Okay.
this question. Is what's your next step forward with your Monarch?
I would
coaching?
love to say to be the leading leadership development company in the world, but one step at a time. So I think we just really want to expand into more of our local community. Velocity is going to help with that, I think, a lot because they're so active in their community. But we want to be able to work more with, schools and help coach and train aspiring leaders and get them to the next level too.
Love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. And my very final question to you, because I know we're running,
good.
is what is your advice to entrepreneurs? You are one, you've been through an accelerator, you're living the entrepreneurial dream with your partner, Erica Rivera.
Yeah.
What is your advice to entrepreneurs if you could share one piece?
Establish your vision and your values right off the bat. You have got to establish those because that's going to be your North Star in any decision that you're going to be making in your business. So if you know where you want to go and you know what your core values are, like for us at Monarch, it's empathy, authenticity, and accountability. And if we are not matching those three, then we are not being Monarch. So it's going to help you with hiring, it's going to help you with partnerships and all of that. So that's
Well
my advice.
said.
Thank you.
Great advice. And thank you so much for being a guest today. Taylor Miller-Goulait, founder of Monarch Coaching. Thanks for being a guest today.
Thanks for having me.
All right. If you'd like more information about our program, please visit us at www.michiganentrepreneurtv.com. Please visit us again in the future when I interview another enterprising entrepreneur. Until then, wishing you the best of business.